Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be looking over the recent trailer that dropped for Sonic the Hedgehog. Um, Now, with this movie, it's I watch this more as a morbid curiosity because I don't actually plan on seeing this film unless it comes out on Netflix or something, and I'm bored one afternoon. I more or less only watched it just because it's kind of like you watched the trailers for Super Mario Brothers before that came out in the 1980s. You're kind of preemptively just watching the train wreck that is going to occur. And that's more or less the whole point of it is just looking and watching the inevitable train wreck. As soon as they started announcing certain things with this, I thought it was going to be weird because Sonic is one of those characters that we're always used to seeing him basically portrayed in one single way. There's not a lot of leeway in terms of like how he's supposed to look and all this stuff. So doing something in live action and bringing that around to live action, it was very strange to me, like why they wouldn't go with an animated feature or something like that. The other thing is, I don't know if the Sonic fandom, which are full of some kind of weird people, by the way, the Sonic fandom would flock to this type of a movie, or if they would initially condemn it, and people outside of the Sonic fandom probably wouldn't give a crap about this film. So again, this film is kind of strange to me out of video game properties to adapt, and I know Sonic has been expanded into other things besides video games, cartoons, animated films, probably comic books and other types of merchandise as well. But let's go into the trailer now. This movie is being put out by Paramount. It stars a few actually kind of notable actors, and I'm kind of surprised some of them are in it. Sonic the Hedgehog is voiced by Ben Schwartz, who a lot of people remember from Parks and Rec. Um, James Marsden is in this as a character named Tom Wachowski, who appears to be a San Francisco police officer. Um, Now yeah, I mean, you've probably seen him in other things. He's one of those guys like you've seen his face. Oh, that guy. It's kind of one of those things. And then of all people, Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik. Um, Now look, I'm not going to say it's a bad choice because I do like Jim Carrey's voice acting in terms of like I think he would sound a lot like Dr. Robotnik because I remember I used to watch the Sonic cartoon when I was a kid, but it's it's a little weird seeing him physically playing the character again, and they do a little shot at the end of the trailer where they kind of show him with like a frizzed out mustache and stuff, so they make it kind of look like he does in the cartoon and in the games. But going back, basically, what they have is the plot of the film, which is essentially told through the trailer. Again, I kind of hate it when they do that, but basically, Sonic, they have this little montage where they show Sonic, and then they go into a few different things. They do actually kind of a funny thing with the Paramount logo where they use the Sonic rings around the edge of the Paramount logo, which again it's a nice little touch, and they use some of the video game sounds. But that's really about all of the charm that the trailer has, because then we go into the actual visuals, and Sonic the Hedgehog looks weird in 3 dimensions and trying to make him somewhat realistic. It feels and looks weird. Um, I mean, I don't expect an explanation of why a blue bipedal hedgehog is running around the Pacific Northwest, but again, it's still kind of weird, or Pacific, or southeastern United States. But apparently, from what I can tell from the trailer, they show some shots of Sonic. They show he has like this little lair out in the desert somewhere. He feels almost kind of like the Roadrunner from Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner cartoons from the Looney Tunes. But it feels a little off. They have this whole thing where they have this plot line with Marsden's character Wachowski, and they go through this whole plot where basically Sonic somehow causes an EMP blast that takes out a bunch of electricity in the eastern part of the United States. And because of that, they bring in Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik to hunt him down basically and capture him and then dissect him and figure out how how he's able to do this. Basically, how he apparently tapped into the Speed Force. Um, then and they have some shots of Jim Carrey. The dialogue they have from Jim Carrey is not great. It sounds very forced. They have this situation where he's talking to this uh, uh, military officer who's in charge of like the search effort, I guess, to find Sonic the Hedgehog, and he's talking to him and basically just it's supposed to be goofy. It's supposed to be kind of like, oh, all right, I'm talking down to you and all this. It's supposed to be witty, but it doesn't work that well. You know, Jim Carrey has this uncanny ability in a lot of cases to turn himself into pretty much a living cartoon, like what he did with The Mask and Ace Ventura and stuff like that. But this, it feels like he's trying to do it, but it's been dialed back a couple of points, so it doesn't work as well. It just feels like a guy being really weird in conversation as opposed to somebody being so over the top and chewing scenery, which I personally find kind of you're almost handicapping Jim Carrey's one really big advantage that he has over other actors in a lot of cases. But again, it shows him, and basically he's trying to hunt down Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is, I assume, on the run. He meets Marston's character in his home, apparently, and pretends to be a cat. And then Marston then has to smuggle him around places. There's a scene where they throw him. He throws him in like a duffel bag, which actually, the scene itself is kind of funny in a morbid way. I don't know if it should be in a kids movie because it's kind of messed up, where it's a joke on like child abduction, where they put Sonic in this duffel bag and they're waiting in an elevator, um, and this woman comes up and says, "You," because Sonic says something like, "I can't breathe in here," and a woman comes up and says, "Is that your child in the bag?" And he says, "No, no." Well, it's a child. It's not mine. And then, like, the two people that are next to him immediately start going off in different directions. Now, I personally find it funny because I am a sick human being. But the if you're aiming at a kids movie, having a child abduction joke is not necessarily a good way to go about it. Now, again, I'm not sure what this film is going to be rated. Um, I would assume PG. I would assume they would not go PG-13 with this, but it's definitely a bit of an interesting take on this, and a strange take, to be very honest. Um, and I think there are a lot of other properties you could have adapted before Sonic the Hedgehog. I think there was definitely plenty more of them, and this is just going to compound a lot of things that have kind of like if this is the death throes of the Sonic franchise, I wouldn't be surprised. If this movie is probably going to tank. Just to be fair, it is probably going to tank. I don't see it doing very well. I don't know exactly when this is coming out, but I couldn't imagine it would be during peak season. I don't think this would be during the summer. That would be financial suicide to release this thing in the middle of the summer. But um, to go on from that, I don't really hate the cast. It seems like the directing is not great. It seems like the writing is not great. The special effects don't look terrible, but it still looks kind of weird seeing Sonic the Hedgehog as a realistic, fuzzy-looking hedgehog, or as realistic again as you could make a blue bipedal hedgehog that wears sneakers. But again, the whole thing feels weird. Oh, by the way, in using Coolio's "Gangster's Paradise" in the trailer, that's a bizarre choice in and of itself. That's just weird. Why you would do that? Why wouldn't you use like "I Can Miles and Miles" by the Who, or that tune from Chariots of Fire? I can't remember the name of it, but I don't know why you wouldn't use something that kind of like it's a bit more fast paced and kind of has something to do with running. Like I figured that would be a better choice for music if you wanted to put it in a trailer. But apparently they did not want to do that for whatever reason, and they went with Coolio's "Gangster's Paradise." And again, it doesn't really work that well with the trailer, and it seems kind of weird to have that in the trailer. But I digress. But personally, I think it's weird. I think a lot of people think it's weird, but whatever your opinions are of the trailer, you can put them in the comments. I'll link the trailer down there for anybody that wants to watch it. Um, leave a like on the video, hit the bell for notifications, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?